everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we are going to swatch out all 120 of the StarJoy colored pencils. I did a review on this pencil set and I really liked them. The other day I just pulled them out and decided to start this project, and I've been working on it on and off in the evenings all week long because I've got a few other things to show you that are going to go along with this. I don't know if you already saw my review on these pencils. If you didn't, I will link it up in the upper right hand corner so you could take a look at that. But when I got to the end of the video and I did the blend test, I was pretty surprised because I did a little bit of a comparison between the StarJoy and the Polychromos, so I could see how they compare to an artist grade oil-based pencil, and they were pretty comparable. Now, of course, I'm not going to say that they are as good as the Polychromos because they are not. But for those of you that don't want to spend a lot of money and you can't afford something like the 120 set of Polychromos, which are pretty pricey, this would be a really good alternative. And I know that a lot of you really enjoy when I sit down and I put these budget pencils in perfect color family order, or what would be my perfect color family order. And so I took the time with these and I did that, and I did quite a few other things too, and I'm going to show you that. I have World of Flowers here because I would like to just go to a page in here and color a leaf with the Polychromos and color it with the StarJoy and see how much of a difference I could tell. And I want to do it on a leaf on a page in World of Flowers because this way I can get a really good comparison, and so can you, because you can see them one right up against the other. And then we are going to swatch all of these colored pencils out. So let me go ahead and show you first exactly what I've done here. Now, these are going to be available in my Etsy store, and this is a 120 colored pencil swatch chart. So I now have a 120 chart. I know that a lot of you have already purchased my 72 chart, and I made one. I have two of the 72 color swatch charts. One has division lines on it for those of you that are beginners and need to have spaces where you want to do light, medium, and dark. And the other one is more like this one where you just have the whole entire box. Now for this one, since it's 120 and there's not a whole lot of space in between these for me to have been able to do that, this one is just going to be available just like this. When you lay your colors down or do your swatches, you can make sort of like a gradient, dark, medium, and then light. And of course, I'm going to show you how I do that. If you've watched my swatching videos previously, you know exactly how I do the dark, medium, light, and I make like a gradient of colors. And I just like to see what the pencil's going to look like if I apply a whole lot of pressure or medium pressure or really light pressure, because you can get several different shades of colors out of just one colored pencil. So I have this available now in my Etsy store. And I created this. This is specifically for the StarJoy pencils, and it has all of the names and all of the numbers already printed out for you, and it is just very neat. And I don't know, I thought it looked much better than sitting here and writing out every single thing onto the page, and it would save you all a whole lot of time. These should all be up in my Etsy store at the release of this video. Also, after I get everything all swatched out, I am going to take that swatch and I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the Brut Funer color pencils, the 120 square set of Brut Funer color pencils. I am going to take a picture, try to make it look as close as I possibly can, and I am going to make that available in my Etsy shop as well for those of you that don't enjoy swatching out your colored pencils. Now, I can't promise you it's going to be exact because it probably won't be, but when I did it with the Brut Funer set, I've had a lot of people come back and tell me that it is almost exact, and it is a really good swatch chart and it came through just with me taking the pictures and making it available to you. It came through looking very, very similar. So I wanted to be able to do the same with this one for those of you that have the 120 set of StarJoy pencils. And then of course you're going to have this one available too in my Etsy shop. That is just a blank generic 120 sheet that has the number and the name, so that you can maybe use it for your Prismacolors or whatever other budget colored or budget friendly colored pencil set that you may have that has 120 colors, because I wanted to make sure that I got the 120 sheet out, because there are so many sets that are 120 pencils. And now that I have finished this, I am going to move on to the Mark Art pencils. So you will probably see that one soon. That's going to be my next project I'm working on and off. And I'm going to do the same thing with those and put them in perfect color family order. Now, just so you know how much work actually goes into this, I'm going to show you exactly how it starts when I do this. I put a whole lot of time into this. It's a whole lot of swatching, going back and forth and trying to make sure every single color fits in exactly where it should be. And some of them, when I have questions about them, I have to do one final entire swatch sheet and fill the whole entire thing out, so I could just sit there and look at it and put all of the colors in where they're supposed to go. Here's where I started, and I just started writing down some of the colors as I had them ordered. But this is what I do, and I think this is after, yeah, this is like when I was doing the greens. So I lay them all out, and then I sit here and I number every single one of them. I figure out where they should be. And then I did the same thing with the blues. This was just a scrap sheet of paper I had. This is from my color combination and blending workbook that's available in my Etsy store. This was one of the worksheets that I was working on. And so I just had this, use this as a scrap sheet of paper. And so this is how I laid out all the blues, and then I was able to put them in order. Then I had them all laid out, or started laying them out, and of course I've got all my lines here, going back and putting them where they go, and then up here fitting some other colors in that weren't in the right places. And I just go back and forth, and then I did this one, and I still had a bunch of corrections that I had to go back and fix. So that is all of the work that I do, and it takes so long, but I go through and I do all of that so that I can make sure that they are absolutely perfect. And so I feel like they are perfect now, and I am ready to start swatching them. Okay, so I grabbed World of Flowers, and before I start swatching the pencils, I wanted to do a little comparison between these and the Polychromos. So I've got my Polychromos. I already picked 3 colors here, and then I've got the others laying here inside the book. But I wanted to be able to just take this page and maybe color 2 leaves that are right next to one another. So I chose this page here just because it has all of these leaves going around here. And I know that I'm not going to color this page because I don't usually color, or don't generally color pages like this. And this book is just my tester book. I've used it for so many tutorials. So I've got some Polychromos here, and I just picked a few greens. And I've got my StarJoys over here as well, and I picked a few greens from those. And so let's go ahead and do the Polychromos first. And I'm just going to start, I think I'm going to do just this leaf here and this leaf here. And so this is going to be my Polychromos leaf. And I'm not going to try to be any, you know, like really extra artistic or anything like that. I'm just going to go through here and color the leaves. I'm just going to lay the colors down, and the objective here is just see how they blend together and how well they lay down. And of course, they're both oil-based pencils. That's why I'm comparing the StarJoy to the Polychromos, because so many people wonder how much like the Polychromos they actually are. And I get questions all the time in my Facebook group, but I've never actually tested them out in a coloring book. And this, of course, is one of the most popular coloring books. So I figure, why not try it in this coloring book? Now let me come back with my darkest color and see if we can really start to create some shadows here. These lay down so nicely in this book, and I will definitely let you know if the other ones lay down just as nicely. Let's go ahead and just add a little bit of this darker color just to emphasize the veins just a little bit. I don't know how I'm going to do these over here because this is just not my way of coloring. It's so hard to film and color and have your hand in the right direction of what it would normally be if you were actually just normally coloring. Okay, so let me come over here and add a little bit more of this brighter color. Now, because they're oil-based pencils, they're going to lay down quite differently than something like a Prismacolor. And they're going to lay down in, you know, in light layers. And I don't know, to me, Polychromos look much different when you color them with them, and I just feel like I could be so much more artistic with something like a Prismacolor. And I think I should have grabbed my Erie book, but the last time I laid my Polychromos down in that book, they went down like an absolute dream. Oh, these colors are so pretty. I gotta get in here and get these veins and just make them look a little bit better. Okay, so now I'm going to come back with my mid-tone. I'm just going to pull this color out and down just a little bit, and I'm going in a circular motion. I will say that oil-based pencils do have quite a bit more of a learning curve. If you are used to wax pencils and you're wanting to get yourself some oil-based pencils just to try them out, they are much different. And most of you probably know I really prefer my Prismacolors. I mean, I like these if I'm in the mood, but I really do prefer my Prismacolors. Like I said, I just feel like I could be so much more artistic with my Prismacolors, and I like the range of colors in that set. And I color very differently when I'm using oil-based pencils. I don't color the same at all. Let me get a little bit more of this really bright color here. I feel like in the Polychromos set, there are not as many really bright, vibrant colors, and y'all know how I am about those beautiful, bright, vibrant highlight colors. They are my absolute favorite. I feel like when you use oil-based pencils, that it takes, I'm already a very slow colorist, and so it takes me quite a bit longer to color. You can see how pigmented they are as I keep coming back, and I just keep laying more down. And as the layers build, it is just getting much darker and creating so much more depth. But they do definitely feel different than something that is wax-based. And I just want to add a little bit more of my darkest color here just to give this leaf just a little bit more depth. See, I said I wasn't going to be artistic, and here I go again, trying to make it look really, really good. Because I don't know, I really want to just put it to the test to see how, you know, to see what the difference is between these and the budget set. And I'm trying to really get a feel as to how they lay down. So let's go ahead and go to the next leaf, and we will color the one that's right here next to it so we can see the difference. Okay, so I have 3 greens now from my StarJoy set. This one is green plum, and then cadmium green pale, and then olive green. And I don't even think I said what colors I used from the Polychromos set. I had light green, earth green yellowish, and then the last one was chrome oxide green. So those are the 3 that I used from the Polychromos set. Now my darkest for this one is going to be this olive green. Let me go ahead and start with the lightest. So I've got this cadmium green pale, and I'm going to go ahead and just do this. I'm going to lay this down just like I laid down the Polychromos. So I laid the lighter color all towards the inside, and I think the color in the Polychromos was quite lighter. So they're going to look a little bit different because I didn't spend the time to like bother matching up the colors. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to lay some of this down and sort of blend it into that lighter color there. Okay, let's grab my darkest color. I was going to go grab something that was much lighter, but then I figure, okay, well, that might be a little bit of cheating because I only used 3 colors with with the Polychromos. But I will tell you that these are nice. These are nice. Okay, so let's do the same thing I did over there. Oh goodness, I can already see that I am going to be using these now that I have them all in a pencil case and organized. They are going to get used so much more. I mean, it may be the paper in this book, but these are going down much easier. I'm not having to build the layers as much as I did with the Polychromos. Okay, so let's go back in, add a little bit of my lighter color and sort of blend some of this in. I mean, they do feel like an oil-based pencil. They are, well, they claim to be an oil-based pencil, but as you know with some of these budget sets, just because they claim to be an oil-based pencil, I don't know, some of them feel more like they're possibly a wax-based pencil. These are laying down in layers though, so I'm pretty sure that it is probably much more oil dominant. That is really nice. So let me see how much I could build up here. This is my darkest color. Wow, look at that. These are so pigmented. I really like these. And you know, I didn't want to, I don't know, like I did the blend test and I was really amazed when I did that blend test, but I hadn't colored with them in a coloring book, so I really wanted to do this just to be sure exactly, you know, what I thought, because I didn't want to just tell y'all something without actually testing it more myself. So I figure why not test it and film it at the same time, and then I could stick it in this video here where I am doing all the, you know, putting them in color family order and swatching them all out for y'all. And I figure that would be, or make much more sense. So that way, if you don't already have these pencils, you can make your own determination as to whether or not you want to purchase them. And let me tell you, these pencils are cheap. They are super cheap and apparently completely worth it. These are really nice. Wow, look at that. And the paper is still taking layers. They're still blending. Oh my goodness. And I'm pretty sure I could have added a beautiful bright yellow in there too. And I probably would have done that if it wasn't just for this test. But let me zoom y'all in just a little bit more, and this way you can see. This is the Polychromos, and this is the StarJoy. I don't know, y'all have to tell me in the comments what you think, but I really like the StarJoy. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I could darken up, because when I look at these, I mean, I don't know if it's the color. These two colors, if we look at these, this is the Polychromos and this one here is the StarJoy. And if I hold those really close, you can see that they look like they're about the same as far as the color goes. I mean, they may be, I mean, they are different colors, but they look like they're pretty close. So let me see how, I have a scrap piece of paper here. So this is the StarJoy. And then this one here is the Polychromos. Oh my goodness, look how close they are. Wow, wow, wow. Look how close in color they are. The Polychromos actually looks darker. But if I look here on the coloring page, the StarJoy actually had more pigment and looks darker. Let me see if I can possibly get this to darken up even a little bit more. And I can. Look how pretty. So yeah, I could come back and just keep piling the layers. But for me, I like when it just happens. I like putting my pencil, and that's probably why I prefer wax-based pencils. But a lot of these budget sets, you have to understand, even though they say that they are oil-based, a lot of them do go down a lot like a wax-based pencil. But now I'm coming back in with my mid-tone, and I'm adding a little bit more of this in here and pulling this other color down. And it is darkening up quite a bit. And that is something with, you know, like with the Polychromos, it does take a bit longer to get the color down on the paper, because the objective of the oil-based pencils is so that you could just keep piling layers and piling layers and piling layers as the colors come together. But I mean, I'm sure if I even came back with the darker color of the StarJoy, I could probably even get that to darken up even more. Look at that. Wow. So yeah, there we go. That is the color test, or the coloring test. So StarJoy and Polychromos. And I don't know, they look almost the same, but I feel like the Polychromos took a lot longer to build up the colors because that is really, I mean, that's the whole point in them. And then with the StarJoys, the pigment just went right down on the paper. So they performed a little bit more like a wax-based pencil would, but they feel like an oil-based pencil. So I just wanted to, before I started the swatch part of the video, I wanted to show you how they look laid out in the case. So of course I always start with white, and then I move into the yellows, and then the yellow oranges, and then like the ochre type colors, like the yellow ochre, and the colors that have a little bit of gold in them. And then, what are these? These are the, okay, so I think these are still, it's hard to tell with the barrel because the barrel doesn't necessarily match the tip of the pencil, but I believe this is more of like an orange yellow here. And then we're getting into the oranges, and then we have these like salmon type colors. And then I always, when I'm in my case or putting them in my cases, I go like this, then I continue this way, then I go like this. So when I flip it to the other side, I'm starting here, coming down, and I just do that through the whole entire case. But then I get into the orange reds as I get into the darker reds, and then the pinks, and then over here, we went from the pinks here to like our purpley pink, which would be right up here. And then I come over here and I start with the purples. And then we are gonna get into the blues and the brighter blues over here. Then we go back over here to our lighter blues. So over in between these mint greens, we have some colors that are more blue than they are green, but they're like a blue-green or like a turquoise color. Then we have our mint greens, and then we get into our colors that have more green than blue, but are more like, you know, your aqua type colors. As we get into our greens, we've got a beautiful bright green here. Then we come up over here, we finish out our greens and get into our olivey greens, and then into browns. And then if we come over here, we've got one brown over here, we have our grays, and then our black, and then our gold, and our silver. I always put the metallics way at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch them out on this swatch chart. This is the one that is all pre-made. Everything's already in order. I've got the number and the name, and this is going to be available in my Etsy store by the time this video is published. So you'll be able to grab this from there if you would like to. I'll have the link down in the description below. But I am going to go ahead and do the swatching to speed, just because we've already done the coloring comparison with the Polychromos, because I felt like that was really, really important. And I don't know, I want to really be able to concentrate and focus on this, because after I'm done, I don't want to like go out of the lines or anything, because when I'm done, I want to be able to take a picture of it and also have this available in my Etsy store as well. So we are going to go ahead and set it to music, and we are going to do a speed through of the swatching, and then when I'm done, I will come back and we will talk about some of the colors in this set and how they're laid out, because of course they look much different in the case than they're gonna look here on this paper once all the colors are swatched out, because the barrels never match the lid on the pencil. So let's go ahead and get into the swatching. Here are all the colors laid out in perfect color family order, at least what I consider, or my perfect color family order. And this was a whole lot of work. But I'm so glad that it's done and it's all come together, and I'm so excited to share it with all of you. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of these colors. So we start up here with our white, of course. I always start with white and then I go into my yellows. You could sort of see how I usually always do my color order. I've did the Brute Fooners, the 120 square Brute Fooners the same way, and any others that I've put in color family order, they've all been the same way. Not the Artezas, the Black Widows, all 144 the Black Widows, I did those the same way as well. But we start here with our yellows, and these yellows are more of a muted yellow tone. And then I've got the brighter yellow tones over here. Then we have this Chinese yellow, which is really, really beautiful as we start to get into the tones that are more a yellow orange. Then we get into our colors that are a bit of a darker orangey yellow, and then our colors that are like, here's a yellow ochre, so our colors that have a little bit of, or have a little bit of that gold tone. And then we have yellow ochre here, so this one is yellow ochre light, and then this one is yellow ochre. Then we have this beautiful bright Naples yellow color as we get into our oranges. So this is a gorgeous color too here, this marigold color. And then we get into our oranges as they get darker and deeper. And then here we have Flesh Light, Skin Yellow, Flesh, and Flesh Deep. This color, I think you pronounce it alizarin crimson. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but that is a gorgeous color. It looks sort of like a watermelon type color. Then we get into a beautiful deep red, and then into our darker reds and our reds that have a little bit of purple in them. As we get into our pink colors, here we have a beautiful Indian red. So we've got a red that is more like a brownish red. This one looks more like a magenta, and it's, strangely enough, it's called peach purple. So that is our reddish purple color, which is really, really pretty. And then here we've got an Indian red. So we've got cherry pink. This is a beautiful, vibrant pink color. And then we are moving into these other pink shades, and we're getting lighter. Then we're getting into these colors that have more of a different undertone to them, so they've got more purple in them as we get into our pinky purples and then into our purples. So we've got this beautiful deep purple. This is a gorgeous color, and this one still, even though it's called purple deep, it has a little bit of pink in it as well. And here we have a gorgeous lavender color that is really, really pretty. I believe that's really close to the Prismacolor lavender. And then cobalt purple, mauve deep. This is a gorgeous color as well. Then we're going to get into our purples. We have a beautiful, really pale light purple here that also has some blue in it. It's called light ink blue. That's really, really pretty as we get into our purples. We don't have a whole lot of purples in this set. Our purples are from here, maybe to about here, but they start getting into what turns into blue. So we've got these few purples here, then we've got our purpley pink colors, and then we're already getting into the blue. So I find that to be the case with a whole lot of sets. Like, we don't generally get a whole lot of purples in a whole lot of sets, and I really, really love purples. They're one of my favorites in any set, and I'm always looking for a set that has a light blue, and I believe with this set, this is the closest here that we're going to get to what they consider a light blue. But to me, when I look at this, it's like a bluish purple color. They're calling it light ink blue, but it's more like a bluish purple color, and it leans way more towards the purple side when I look at it. Of course, everybody sees color differently and looks at it a little bit differently, but if you look at my swatch, this is where I started getting into these colors here that are more purpley blue, and then our purples are over here. So it's sort of like right in the middle. But we've got this gorgeous blue-gray color. We're getting into our deeper blues and our deeper, brighter blues over here. We've got this gorgeous Delft blue. And then we've got some of our cobalts in here. So we've got cobalt blue light, cobalt blue, and if you look at these, the way that they're named is sort of odd because they still look quite a bit different from one another, and I don't know. Because now we're starting to get into our colors that look like they are more like our teal tones. So we've got ultramarine light, sky blue. These are gorgeous blues. Down here we're getting into our turquoise colors. So these are the blues that fall where they have a lot more green in them as we start to come into the greens. This cypress green looks like a true teal color. It's really, really pretty. And then we are coming in here to where these are called teal, of course. So these are green blue colors. They lean more towards green. Then we've got this beautiful jade green. We have a couple mint greens. They are very, very close in color though. Very, very close. One looks to have a little bit more, it's a little bit more of a brighter green. And then the other one looks a little bit closer to what would be considered a teal or a turquoise as we start to get into these color, or this color here that is actually called turquoise. So we have these greens here. These are more of our truer greens as we start to go down. We have this gorgeous, what they're calling permanent green. And this one looks a little bit mossy to me as we start to get into the more mossier type greens. But we've got these beautiful bright colors that are stuck in here that are sort of like yellow greens. This color here, this green gold, this is really, really pretty. That is really pretty color, and I sort of went back and forth as to where to put this because if you look at it, it looks like brownish, yellowish, greenish. It has so many colors in it, and I mean, it straight up looks like gold. I'm wondering if I should have put it by the gold, but I don't know. I went back and forth for the longest time, and I think it just sort of fit right in there as we get into the colors that look a little like olive greens. And then we have some other greens here that have a little bit of a different undertone. And then we've got this Terra Verde. It looks like a green gray. It's really, really pretty. And then we have here this Hooker's green. Now, I noticed when I was laying this Hooker's green down, this one was a little bit scratchy. And I noticed that with a couple of the colors, it's a little bit of inconsistency. For the most part, they were not like that. There were a couple colors that I found to be that way. I wrote some of them down. So 080, the purple, was a little bit scratchy. So this one here, and then the 045. So this green here, this one was a little bit scratchy. And then the Hooker's green, as I just said, that one felt a little bit scratchy. And then my Terracotta Light, which is down here, that one felt a little bit scratchy too. But those were the only pencils out of all 120 that had that scratchy feeling to them when I laid them down. A lot of the greens went down like butter. They were fabulous. And then these, the gold and the silver, these were so close to the feeling of how a Prismacolor feels when it lays down on the paper that I was actually amazed. And these are beautiful. This gold and this silver, they had so much intense pigment that came out of them as I laid them down on the paper. And the black is really nice too. So after we get through these greens, we've got this Terracotta Light, and then we've got what would be called cinnamon. This looks like a true cinnamon type color. It's really, really pretty. Our burnt sienna. Then we have some terracotta type colors. These are very, very close, but this one is much more bright and vibrant. We have a sepia. Now, if you look at some sets, sometimes your sepia is going to have more red in it. Sometimes it has more brown in it. Like, I don't know, in a whole bunch of different sets, like what they call sepia, they tend to be very different. Like in my Derwent Lightfast set, they actually call it sepia red, and it has a lot more red in it. In this case, it looks like it's got some red in it, but it looks like it is leaning more towards a brown. So then we have the burnt ochre and the brown ochre, and then we've got more browns down here. We've got a burnt umber, which is a really pretty dark, dark brown. And then we've got quite a few grays here. We've got some really pretty shades of gray. Really pretty shades of gray. We've got a couple cool grays, we've got some warm grays, and then we've got what they're calling ivory black. So they don't call it just straight up black, they call it ivory black. And the black pencil actually went down really, really nicely. And then of course the gold and the silver, which I always put to the way end of my swatches. That's what I always generally do with anything that is metallic. I am going to take a picture of this, and I'm going to try to make it as clear as I possibly can so that I could get this up for you just like this in my Etsy store. So you will have plenty of choices. You can do it however you'd like to do it. If you want to go with this sheet here, you can go with this sheet here, and this one is just a blank generic chart that you can use for any of your 120 sets where it has the room for the number and the name and for you to swatch any colored pencil set that you'd like. And then I'm going to have this one available where all the colors are already all swatched out for you. And I'm going to put up my little disclaimer here. I'm going to try to take a picture of this and make it as clear as I possibly can so that it looks very, very close. Many of you that have downloaded my Brutfuner chart have said that it is very, very close and it works perfectly for you. So I'm going to try to do the same with this one, but it's never going to be exact as if you had swatched out your own colors. So I just want to put that disclaimer up there just in case, you know, just in case. But you're going to have options. I will also have this available as a blank chart as well, so that you can download this, follow along with the video if you'd like to, and swatch out your own colors. So I'm going to have all three of those charts available in my Etsy store. I'll have the link down in the description box below, and those will all be there for you, and you could choose how you'd like to do it. And if you want to grab all of them, you can grab all of them. Because this one here is great for any colored pencil set, any of your budget sets that have 120 colors. This one is really great, and I'm probably going to redo this one. Right now I'm making all of my color swatch charts so that they are landscape, and I will also start doing them to where they are vertical up and down or portrait. I also have a free one that's available in my Facebook group in the files section. If you're not in my Facebook group, you could put in a request to join and you could grab that one there, but there is a free one available there. So I hope y'all enjoy this video. I hope that this is useful for y'all. So many people have asked me to do this, and I'm going to be doing it for other pencil sets. And I love the way that this turned out. I love how it just looks so uniform, and all of the names are already on there for me, and I don't have like my sloppy, or what I would consider my sloppy handwriting. It just looks so much nicer, and I feel like I'm going to go back and I'm going to, now that I have the actual form and I've created this, I can go back and create the same thing for other colored pencil sets. So I plan on doing that, but I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the Polychromos right up against the StarJoy pencils, because that was really interesting to me. And the StarJoys, they lay down like, I mean, they on that specific book, like I always tell y'all, match your pencils to your paper. In that specific book, they just really went down so nicely, and they actually went down better than the Polychromos did in that particular book. Now, I can't say for another book. I'm pretty sure if I pulled out another book that was different paper and tested them out on 2 different papers, I may feel differently. If you check the description box below, you'll find everything that you have seen in this video, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Happy coloring. Bye.